Hello! Today I've got a new Fairytale look for you. It's actually one of the final ones I'm doing because I ran out of Fairytales, but I also have a new idea in planning already for afterwards. But yeah, this is the Fairytale of the Goose Girl. And as always with the Fairytale looks, I'll just put the products I've used below in the description box and I'll just tell you my version of the Fairytale, or at least the way I tell it, while painting some scenes of the Fairytale on my nails. So the story is about a girl who lives, actually a princess who lives with her mother, who is obviously a queen, yeah. And they just live there happily in their own little kingdom. Her father is dead, but that doesn't seem to bother anyone. And then, yeah, finally she gets asked by a prince of a faraway country to marry him. Like, they never actually seen each other before, so he doesn't know how she looks, or she doesn't know how he looks either, but... You know, the thing that is going to be an issue is that he doesn't know how she looks. But yeah, she decides to indeed marry him, even though it saddens her to have to leave her mother. And then one day she does actually finally leave to go to the prince in his country. And the only person coming with her is a lady in waiting, sort of a court lady. And yeah, they just start their travel. But as soon as they've left the country, or at least are, you know... no longer within hearing range of the queen. The court lady in waiting, whatever it's called, gets really extremely mean. To the point where she starts with just bitching to the princess. But eventually she also forces the princess to trade horses, even though the princess's own horse is actually a magical horse, who is the prettiest horse in the country and also happens to be able to talk. And also, well, only talk to the princess actually. But yeah, point is, she also forces the princess to trade clothes. So by the time they actually reach the faraway country, the lady in waiting actually looks like the princess, and the princess looks like, you know, just a random person on a horse. So yeah, at that point, the princess apparently was so very well behaved and sweet and nice that she didn't want to have an argument with anyone ever. So she even just lets it happen that the lady in waiting actually lies that she's the princess. And the actual princess is just a random girl she happened to pick up on the way. So that results in the lady in waiting actually going to marry the prince, while the actual princess gets a job as a goose girl in the kingdom. So yeah, that's better than nothing, but still, it's obviously not what she was going there for. However, the horse can still talk, and then one day a groom actually hears her talking to the horse about, you know, how she's so very sad that things turned out that way, and the horse replies to her that her mother, the queen, well, she wouldn't break her heart, but her heart would break if she would know what have happened to her daughter. So yeah, the groom actually tells that to the king as well. And the king tells that to his son, the prince, who also happens to discuss that with his wife, the actual lady in waiting who turned herself into a princess. Who obviously isn't all that happy with it, because obviously she doesn't want to be, you know, betrayed by a horse. So she decides the horse needs to be killed. Apparently there were no laws against animal cruelty in those days, so the horse does indeed get killed and the head gets mounted against a port somewhere around the city. Yeah, the first per story in some stories is the castle wall. But anyway, the horse head gets mounted somewhere against the wall. And yeah, the princess actually does keep talking to the horse. And the horse, by the power of magic, does keep responding to her. Which, come to think of it, sounds slightly creepy. But anyway. So yeah, and one day the king actually manages to catch her talking to the horse. So he hides himself and just listens to what she has to say. And she talks with the horse about how she's been betrayed by the lady in waiting, how she's the actual princess. And the horse actually responds again with saying that her mother's heart would break if she would know. And because obviously dead horses can't lie, not even when they're somehow magically able to talk, the king then knows that she's the actual princess. And then he actually tells his son, obviously. And from this point, the fairytale differs from the legend. In the fairytale, the lady in waiting just gets banned from the kingdom. The actual princess marries the prince and they live happily ever after. Except for the horse, who was already dead, obviously. And in the original legend, the prince actually asks the lady in waiting how she would treat someone who would betray her like that. And the lady in waiting, not yet knowing that she's been caught, actually responds according to most stories, with that she would actually make the culprit sit in a, you know, one of those big round, I don't actually know how they're called, but you know, those big wooden boxes, and they would fill it with nails, iron nails, and then roll it around just until the person inside it was dead. To which his prince responds, well then that's going to be your punishment. So, yeah. And then the prince and princess also, again, live happily ever after. But yeah, so that's the entire story, and this is what I made of it. In the first scene, she's braiding her hair while, you know, just being on a field with the goose. On the second one is the horse head, and on the third one, she's happy with the prince after, you know, the actual culprit has been caught. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please click the like button, it would really help me out. And if you want, you can also subscribe to my channel. For now, thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye!